My name is Whitney. I'm 30 years old, and for the longest time, I thought my family was, well, normal. Messy in the way every family is messy, but still grounded in love. My parents, Tom and Linda, had worked hard to give my younger sister Leslie and me a decent life. Leslie, at 26, was the family's golden girl. Spontaneous, charming, forever chasing dreams that someone else usually paid for. I used to think that was fine. That's what family was, giving when one of us had more, trusting that love would balance everything out. But the only person I truly, absolutely trusted was my grandmother. She lived in a small brick house just a few blocks from us, the kind with faded floral wallpaper and lace curtains that always smelled faintly of lavender. Stepping inside felt like walking into a pocket of warmth that time couldn't touch. Grandma had a way of making me feel like I was her chosen one, the only person who really saw her. 2 years ago, she called me over one chilly afternoon. I remember how the winter sun slanted through her living room window, dust floating in golden streaks. She was shuffling around in her bedroom, muttering to herself as I sat in her creaky floral armchair, the one where I'd spent countless evenings listening to her stories. "Whitney, honey, come here," she called, her voice trembling with both age and urgency. I followed her into the room and watched as she pulled open the top drawer of her old wooden dresser. Her thin hands trembled as she brought out a small velvet box. She pressed it into my palms with surprising firmness. Inside, nestled in tissue paper, were the most beautiful earrings I'd ever seen, gold hoops studded with diamonds that caught the dim light and scattered it like starlight. My breath caught. "Grandma, these are—" "Your grandfather gave them to me on our first anniversary," she said, her eyes misting over. "He worked nights for months, saved every penny to surprise me. They're worth a fortune now, but their value isn't in the money. It's in the love and sacrifice behind them." I shook my head, panicked. I can't accept these. They're too valuable." She closed my hand over the box, her grip unexpectedly strong. "Yes, you can. And you must. Listen to me carefully." Her gaze pinned me in place. "Your parents, your sister, they might be tempted if times ever get rough. But you, Whitney, you understand. You won't treat them like a price tag. You'll keep them safe. Promise me." Her words made my chest tighten. She wasn't just giving me jewelry. She was handing me responsibility. "I promise," I whispered, feeling my throat close up. She smiled faintly, then, almost playfully, pulled out another box from the same drawer. I frowned. "What's this?" She flipped it open, revealing another pair of earrings, identical down to the smallest sparkle. My jaw dropped. "You had two?" Grandma chuckled, a mischievous twinkle in her tired eyes. "Not exactly. These are replicas. Years ago, I had a jeweler make them. I wore the fakes to parties, church, even weddings. Kept the real ones hidden away. Smart, don't you think?" I laughed, despite the lump in my throat. "That's genius. No one would ever know." "That's the point." She leaned closer, her lavender perfume enveloping me. "Keep the copies where anyone can see them. Let the world think those are the real treasures, and save the true ones for moments that deserve them. But Whitney," her tone sharpened, "this is our secret. Not your parents', not Leslie's, just ours. Can you swear that to me?" I swallowed, nodding solemnly. "I swear." She looked satisfied, as though some burden had finally lifted. She hugged me, her frail frame trembling in my arms. It was the last time I smelled lavender on her skin. Not long after, she passed away quietly in her sleep. At her funeral, I wore the replicas, and no one suspected a thing. My parents commented on how dazzling the earrings looked, and Leslie's eyes lingered on them with a mixture of admiration and envy. But not once did anyone question their authenticity. From that day forward, I honored my grandmother's instructions religiously. The real earrings, wrapped in soft tissue, rested in the bottom drawer of my dresser. The replicas stayed in the top, where I could reach them quickly. I wore the genuine pair only twice, once to a close friend's wedding, and once to a company gala, where I needed to project confidence. Both times, people complimented me endlessly, and both times I felt my grandmother's presence as if she were whispering encouragement in my ear. Then, carefully, I tucked them back into their hidden place, never letting them linger too long in the open. Life, for a while, was steady. I worked long hours at my marketing firm, paid my bills, and built a quiet independence that felt both satisfying and lonely. Leslie flitted in and out of jobs, chasing whims and charm-filled schemes. My parents doted on her, often at my expense. but I brushed it off. I had what mattered: my independence, my grandmother's trust, and the earrings that symbolized both. Still, sometimes, late at night, when the city noise died down, I'd lie awake and wonder, why had Grandma been so insistent on secrecy? Why was her warning about my parents and sister so sharp, almost fearful? I didn't know then, but she'd seen something I had not: a shadow in the family I loved. And one day soon, that shadow would crawl out into the light. 2 years passed after Grandma's funeral. I'd settled into a routine that was comfortable, predictable. My job at a mid-size marketing firm kept me busy, the kind of busy that left little room for anything else. Most nights I came home late, kicked off my heels, fed Bubbles, my tiny goldfish who had more personality than most men I'd dated, and collapsed on the couch. Life wasn't glamorous, but it was mine. And Grandma's earrings? They had become a private ritual. I wore the replicas most of the time, tucking them on before work or dinner with friends. They gave me comfort, a reminder of her love. The real pair stayed buried, untouched except for 2 rare occasions. Sometimes, opening that bottom drawer, just to peek at them, felt like visiting her again. But life has a way of knocking down walls when you least expect it. It started with a meeting I didn't see coming. My boss called me into his office one Monday afternoon, his expression unreadable. I thought I'd made a mistake on a campaign report, maybe overlooked a client's demand. Instead, he folded his hands and said, "Whitney, we're sending you to Los Angeles. There's a client presentation we can't afford to mishandle. You've proven yourself reliable. Can you be ready by next week?" My heart flipped. I'd had never been trusted with something so important before. "Next week?" I echoed. "Yes. It's short notice, but this could be a career maker. 2 weeks in LA, face-to-face with executives. Do well, and people higher up will remember your name." I forced myself to nod calmly, though my pulse raced. "Of course, I'll be ready." That night, excitement turned into anxiety. 2 weeks away from home meant someone needed to water the plants and feed Bubbles. My mind went through the list of people I could ask and landed, inevitably, on my parents. When I called, Mom picked up after the second ring, her voice cheerful in a way that almost felt rehearsed. "Hi, honey. How are you?" "I'm fine, Mom. Listen, I've got something to ask. My company's sending me on a business trip to Los Angeles, 2 weeks. Could you and Dad stop by my apartment, just to water the plants and feed Bubbles?" There was a beat of silence, then she said warmly, "Of course, darling. Leave us your keys. We'll take care of everything." Relief washed over me. "Thanks, Mom. I knew I could count on you." Then Dad's voice came on the line, deep and reassuring. "Don't worry, Whitney. We'll make sure everything's perfect when you come back." It should have ended there, but just as I was about to hang up, Mom added casually, "Oh, by the way, are Grandma's earrings somewhere safe? You never know with break-ins these days." The question made me pause. Why would she think of the earrings, of all things? I forced a laugh. "They're fine, Mom. In my bedroom drawer. Nobody's breaking in." "Good," she said, her tone light but her words too pointed. "I'll keep an eye on them." I brushed it off at the time, telling myself she was only being protective. Still, her comment stuck to me like a burr I couldn't shake. That weekend, while packing, I opened the bottom drawer and held the real earrings in my hands. The diamonds glinted under the soft light of my lamp. I thought of Grandma's voice. Save the true ones for moments that deserve them. If ever there was a moment, this was it. I packed them carefully in a small jewelry case. The replicas I moved to the bottom drawer, switching their place. Somehow that act felt both reckless and exhilarating, like I was playing a private game no one else knew existed. Before leaving, I visited my parents for Sunday dinner. Leslie was there too, sprawled on the couch, scrolling her phone. Dinner was loud, as it always was, with my parents teasing each other and Leslie recounting half-finished stories about her big plans. But somewhere between the mashed potatoes and the apple pie, Dad cleared his throat. "Your mother and I have been thinking about taking a trip," he said, trying to sound casual. "Hawaii, maybe. The package deal's really good right now." Mom jumped in quickly. "We're only short about $3,000. We were wondering if you could help us out." I froze, fork halfway to my mouth. "3,000? "Just a loan," Mom said quickly. "We'd pay you back." I stared at my plate, guilt pressing against my ribs. My new job paid better, yes, but it wasn't stable yet. I had bills, rent, responsibilities. I can't right now. Maybe in 6 months. We could even plan a family trip together then. The air shifted instantly. Dad's face tightened, and Mom began gathering dishes with loud clatters. "Fine," she said flatly. "We'll keep dreaming then." Leslie rolled her eyes, muttering under her breath, "Some of us could really use a vacation." The tension hung heavy for the rest of the meal. I tried to push it aside, reminding myself that they'd agreed to help with my apartment while I was away. Still, I caught the cold edge in my parents' voices as I hugged them goodbye. On the drive home, I told myself I was imagining things. Families get disappointed sometimes, but it didn't mean anything sinister. But as I zipped my suitcase shut and double-checked the jewelry case, a thought nagged at me. Grandma's warning, sharp and unyielding. They might be tempted if times get tough. I shook it off. After all, they were my parents. They wouldn't betray me. At least that's what I believed then. The 2 weeks in Los Angeles passed in a blur of meetings, presentations, and late nights rehearsing my pitches in the hotel mirror. Every time I fastened Grandma's real earrings, I felt steadier, like I was carrying a piece of her wisdom into those intimidating boardrooms. When the executives shook my hand with impressed smiles, I silently thanked her. By the time I boarded the flight home, exhaustion and pride mixed in my chest. I'd done it. I'd proved myself. The earrings glimmered in their travel case, tucked carefully in my purse, and I couldn't wait to return them to their rightful place, hidden in the bottom drawer where no one could touch them. When I unlocked my apartment door, the familiar scent of lavender air freshener greeted me. Everything looked exactly as I'd left it. Plants green and thriving, Bubbles darting happily in his tank. I smiled. Mom and Dad had kept their promise. I dropped my suitcase by the couch, slipped off my heels, and headed straight to my bedroom. The first thing I wanted to do was swap the earrings, tuck the real ones safely away, and slide the replicas back into rotation. I opened the jewelry case with a kind of reverence. The diamonds winked at me, as if satisfied with their grand tour of Los Angeles. "Back you go," I whispered, carrying them to the dresser. I pulled open the top drawer, expecting to see the velvet box with the replicas waiting patiently. The drawer was empty. I blinked, leaned closer, rummaging through the scarves and trinkets I usually kept there. Nothing. My chest tightened. Maybe I'd moved them before leaving. Maybe I was remembering wrong. I slid open the second drawer, then the third. No box. Panic began to rise in my throat. I yanked open every drawer, scattering clothes and jewelry onto the floor. Then the closet, under the bed, even the bathroom cabinet. Nothing. My breathing quickened, my hands shook. No, no, no. It made no sense. Nothing else was missing. My laptop sat on the desk. My television hummed quietly in the corner. Even the cheap silver bracelet I kept on my nightstand was still there. Whoever had been here hadn't been after valuables. They had gone after one thing, the earrings. And only 3 people had access. I froze, the realization slamming into me. Only my parents and Leslie had my keys. Only they knew the earrings were expensive, and only Mom had asked, just days ago, whether they were safe. I grabbed my phone and dialed their number. It rang, and rang. No answer. I tried again, straight to voicemail. Mom's cheerful recorded voice chirped in my ear. "Hi, you've reached Tom and Linda. Leave a message." The sound turned my stomach. I hung up, tried Leslie, straight to voicemail as well. "This is Leslie. Probably having too much fun to answer. You know what to do." I didn't leave a message. My hands were trembling too hard to press the buttons. What could I even say? Did you steal from me? Did you betray the one promise I made to Grandma? My chest burned with something worse than panic. Something sharp, acidic, betrayal. Without thinking, I threw on a jacket, grabbed my car keys, and drove straight to my parents' house. The 20-minute drive felt like hours. Every red light an accusation. My thoughts raced in dizzying circles. Maybe they'd moved the earrings for safekeeping. Maybe this was a misunderstanding. Maybe I was paranoid. But when I pulled into their driveway, both cars were gone. The house sat dark and silent, blinds drawn. I rang the bell, pressing hard. Nothing. I knocked until my knuckles stung. "Mom? Dad? It's me. Open up." Silence. Then I remembered the spare key I'd kept on my ring for years, from when they once asked me to check their mail during a vacation. My stomach churned as I slid it into the lock. The door gave way easily. Inside, the house smelled faintly of coffee and cleaning spray. Everything was in place. Family photos on the mantel, the crocheted blanket draped over the sofa. Too normal, too quiet. That's when I saw it. A sheet of paper, bright pink, sitting neatly on the coffee table. My mother's handwriting sprawled across it in thick red marker. "Whitney, Dad, Leslie, Rick and I flew to Hawaii this morning. We sold your diamond earrings, and now we can afford this amazing vacation. Thanks for the help. Don't worry about us. We'll be having a great time in the sun. Love, Mom. My hands shook as I read it again and again, until the words blurred together, stabbing into me with every repetition. They hadn't even tried to hide it. They'd written it down like a thank you note, like stealing from me was a favor I'd willingly given. A sound rose in my throat, a strangled laugh that cracked open into full-blown hysteria. I sank onto their couch, clutching the note, my laughter echoing through the empty house until tears streaked down my cheeks. They thought they were so clever. They thought they'd won. But they had no idea. They had taken the replicas, worthless fakes. I pressed the note to my chest and inhaled, steadying myself. This wasn't the end. This was the beginning. I slipped the note into my purse, locked the house behind me, and drove home with a smile tugging at my lips. Let them bask in the Hawaiian sun. Let them gloat. The real storm was waiting for them when they came back. And I would be here, waiting. For 3 days, I went about my routine as if nothing had happened. I went to work, watered my plants, fed Bubbles, even folded laundry with a strange calmness. But under the surface, a current of anticipation hummed in me. I wasn't furious, not yet. I was curious. How long would it take them to realize they hadn't stolen what they thought they had? On the 4th day, my phone buzzed, a text from Mom. Hi, honey. Haven't heard from you since you got back. Are you okay? I stared at it, biting back a laugh. She was fishing, trying to see if I'd discovered their crime yet. I typed back, I'm fine. How's the weather in Hawaii? Her reply came almost instantly. Beautiful. We're having such a wonderful time. An hour later, Leslie chimed in. Hope you're doing well, sis. The beaches are incredible here. Thanks to your diamond earrings, we're living the dream. The audacity made me chuckle. I sent back a single laughing emoji. Within minutes. What's so funny? I typed, you'll find out when you get home. She tried calling twice after that, but I didn't answer. I could picture her frowning at the screen, glancing nervously at Mom and Dad, trying to make sense of my cryptic amusement. For the rest of their trip, silence. I imagined them sipping cocktails, stretching out on sandy beaches, smug in their betrayal. I let them enjoy it. Every paradise has its ending. When their plane landed back home, my phone lit up like fireworks. First a call from Mom, then Dad, then Leslie, all ignored. Then the text began. Whitney, call me immediately. This is very urgent. Mom, we need to talk right now. Call me back. Dad. Whitney, what the hell did you do to us? Call me back now. Leslie. I sat cross-legged on my couch, sipping tea, watching the messages flood in, each more desperate than the last. You've embarrassed us and put us in danger. Mom. The buyer is threatening to call the police. He thinks we scammed him. Dad. Why would you do this to your own family? Leslie. Why would you do? The buyer. My lips curved into a smile. Of course. Dad must have sold the earrings to someone he trusted, someone important. I didn't answer. I sent back the same response to each of them, a single laughing emoji. Hours later, I heard heavy footsteps on my apartment stairs. The pounding on my door shook the frame. Whitney, open this door right now, Dad's voice, thunderous, furious. We know you're in there, Mom added, her tone sharp with panic. Leslie's muffled voice behind them, higher, frantic. I let them stew for a moment before slowly turning the lock. The door flew open as they rushed in like a storm. Dad's face was red, veins bulging at his temples. Mom looked pale, her hands trembling. Leslie's eyes were rimmed with tears. Dad paced my living room like a caged animal. Do you have any idea what you've done? I crossed my arms, leaning against the wall. I went on a business trip. What did you do? His glare could have burned holes through me. I sold those earrings. $15,000. To my boss, Whitney. My boss. I gave him the certificate and everything. He gave them to his wife for their anniversary. I tilted my head, feigning innocence. That sounds sweet. Sweet? He roared. His wife took them to a jeweler. The jeweler said they're fakes. High quality, yes, but fakes. He tested them twice. Do you understand what that means? I shrugged lightly. That you shouldn't sell things that don't belong to you? Don't play dumb. Dad's fist clenched at his sides. He thinks I tried to scam him. He gave me 3 days to come up with $15,000 or he'll destroy me, fire me, have me arrested for fraud. Mom's voice broke, tears spilling down her cheeks. Please, Whitney, we're begging you. Just give us the money. Help us fix this before it ruins us. Help you? I repeated slowly. Yes, Leslie snapped, her voice shrill. You set us up. You must have switched the earrings before you left. You wanted this to happen. I let out a short laugh. Switch them? Interesting theory. But why would I do that when they were never yours to touch in the first place? Leslie's eyes blazed. Stop pretending. Just give us the $15,000 and we'll call it even. I reached into my purse, pulled out the folded pink note Mom had left me, and held it up. This, right here, is a confession. In writing. Your handwriting, Mom. You admitted to selling my earrings. If you don't walk out of my apartment this very second, I'll call the police and hand them this myself. The room went silent. Dad's jaw worked furiously, but no words came. Mom covered her face with her hands, sobbing quietly. Leslie shook her head, muttering, This isn't fair. This isn't fair. Finally, Dad spat. You'll regret this. But even his voice cracked under the weight of his desperation. I opened the door, my hand steady. Out. One by one, they filed past me, broken silhouettes in the hallway light. When the door clicked shut behind them, I leaned against it, exhaling slowly. My hands trembled, not from fear, but from the thrill of control. They thought they'd trapped me, but it was I who had set the trap, and they had walked right in. For a few days after I threw them out, things were quiet. Too quiet. I almost believed they'd accept their loss and lick their wounds in silence. But then the phone calls started, first from my Aunt Carol. Whitney, honey, what's going on? Your parents called me last night, said you're in some kind of trouble. Drugs, of all things. My grip tightened on the phone. Drugs? Yes, they said you got caught transporting something and you're too ashamed to tell anyone. They were asking me for money to hire a lawyer. Carol's voice trembled. Sweetheart, is it true? I closed my eyes, fury pulsing through my veins. No, Aunt Carol, it's not true. They're lying to you. She hesitated. They sounded desperate. I didn't know what to believe. Believe me, I said firmly. As soon as we hung up, my phone lit up again. Uncle Mike this time. Whitney, your dad just called, said it's life or death. He wanted $5,000 wired today. What's going on over there? The next day, cousins, neighbors, even my grandmother's old friend from church, all reaching out, asking if I was okay, confused by the stories my parents were spreading. Each time, my anger sharpened like a blade. Finally, my cousin Jenny called. Whitney, listen, you need to see this. Within minutes, she added me to the family group chat I'd avoided for years. The screen exploded with messages, my parents at the center. Mom's long post at the top. Our daughter Whitney has made some terrible mistakes. She's in trouble with the law. Please don't judge her. We're just asking for help covering the legal costs to keep her out of jail. Dad chimed in below. We can't go into details, but it's serious. We need money immediately. Family has to stick together. I scrolled, jaw clenched, as relatives responded with shock, worry, confusion. Some offered sympathy. Others asked questions my parents dodged with vague replies. And then I saw Leslie's contribution. Please, everyone. Whitney is too ashamed to admit it herself. Don't let her life fall apart. She needs us. I took a deep breath, then typed my reply. Hi, everyone. This is Whitney. I'm not on drugs. I'm not facing legal trouble. Here's the truth. While I was on a business trip, Mom, Dad, and Leslie stole my grandmother's diamond earrings, sold them, and used the money for a Hawaii vacation. Here's the note Mom left me, admitting everything. I attached a photo of the pink stationery with Mom's cheerful scrawl. Thanks for the help. Love, Mom. The chat exploded. Are you kidding me? They stole from their own daughter? Unbelievable. We were ready to send money. This is disgusting. Whitney, I'm so sorry I believe them. Message after message poured in, furious, disappointed, disbelieving. My phone buzzed nonstop, but I barely looked. My parents' empire of lies had collapsed with a single photo. 2 days later, Jenny called again. You're not going to believe this. Dad's coworker told me. Your father had to give his SUV to his boss instead of the $15,000. Apparently, the boss agreed not to press charges in exchange. I almost felt a pang of pity. Almost. But then I remembered Mom's handwriting. Leslie's smug texts from Hawaii. Dad's threats in my apartment. My pity evaporated. That night, my phone rang. Leslie's number. Against my better judgment, I picked up. Her voice was raw, almost broken. Whitney, why are you doing this? You've ruined everything. I stayed quiet, letting her fill the silence. Rick, he's furious. He says he doesn't want to be associated with this family. He won't even look at me. He says we're all thieves. Her voice cracked. He's leaving me, Whitney. Do you understand? He's leaving because of you. I clenched the phone. No, Leslie, he's leaving because of you. Because you bragged about stealing from me. Because you thought betrayal had no consequences. Her breath hitched, but then her tone hardened. You don't understand. You've always had everything handed to you. Grandma's love, her jewelry, her trust. You've never had to fight for attention like I did. Maybe I made mistakes, but at least I didn't pretend to be perfect. The line went quiet for a moment, her breathing uneven. Goodbye, Leslie, I said softly and hung up. For a long time, I stared at the ceiling in the dark. A strange mixture of sadness and vindication twisted inside me. She was right about one thing. I had been chosen. Grandma had seen something in me the others never did, and now that choice had ripped my family apart. Weeks passed. The phone stopped buzzing. The relatives who had once rushed to my parents' defense now kept their distance, disgust dripping from their silence. But one afternoon, a knock rattled my apartment door. I opened it to find Mom and Dad standing there. They looked smaller, deflated. Mom's makeup was smeared, her hair messy in a way I'd never seen before. Dad's shoulders sagged, his suit wrinkled like he hadn't bothered to iron it. Whitney, Mom whispered. Her voice was hoarse, pleading. We need to talk. Dad stepped forward, his eyes bloodshot. We need help. I leaned against the doorframe, arms folded. Help? After everything? Mom's lips trembled. We don't have a car anymore. We can't get to work. I'm juggling 2 jobs just to cover bills since your father... She cut herself off, glancing at him. His jaw clenched. Since I lost my position, he admitted. My boss tolerated me for a while after the incident, but he eventually found an excuse to let me go. My reputation's ruined. No one will hire me. I let the silence stretch. Their eyes begged. You want me to give you money? I said flatly. We're your parents, Mom said, tears spilling freely now. Please, just a loan, just until we get back on our feet. I stared at them. These 2 people who had raised me, yes, but who had also stolen from me, lied about me, tried to destroy my reputation to save their own skins. Are you serious? You lied to our entire family. You spread stories about me being a drug trafficker. You stole from me, and when it blew up, you expected me to fix it. And now you're here, asking for more? We're desperate, Dad snapped. His voice cracked, more broken than commanding now. You don't understand what it's like to be stripped of everything. Yes, I do, I said softly, because you stripped it from me first. Their faces crumbled under the weight of those words. I took a step back and closed the door slowly, their silhouettes framed in the narrowing crack of light. Mom's sob broke through just before the latch clicked. That was the last time I let them inside my home. Time passed, and the family updates came to me through Jenny, or whispers from distant relatives. Nobody trusted my parents anymore. Aunt Sue wouldn't let them visit, afraid they'd pocket silverware. Uncle Mike changed his locks. Even neighbors kept their distance after Dad tried to borrow tools and never return them. And Leslie? Her story traveled in hushed tones. Rick left her the week the truth came out, his final words echoing through our family like a gavel. I won't build a future with a family of thieves. Humiliated, she quit her job and moved to another city, claiming she needed a fresh start. But fresh starts can't erase old stains. Jenny told me Leslie cried to her once, swearing she'd never forgive me for ruining her life. I listened, and all I felt was a quiet ache. She'd ruined it herself. Meanwhile, my life moved forward. My company recognized my work from Los Angeles, and soon after, I was sent on more trips. Chicago, New York, even overseas. Each time I packed, I locked Grandma's real earrings in a safety deposit box at the bank, carrying only the replicas. The ritual gave me peace. I upgraded my apartment, installed a security camera system, and found a strange kind of joy in solitude. I didn't need to chase family dinners or parental approval anymore. My circle was small but safe, friends who respected me, colleagues who valued me. And every so often, on quiet evenings, I'd take out the real earrings from the bank, hold them in my hands, and let the diamonds catch the light. I'd remember Grandma's words, when you have something precious, you must protect it, even from those who say they love you. She had been right. I had protected them, and in the process, I had protected myself. The earrings weren't just jewelry. They were a reminder of betrayal, yes, but also of strength. They were proof that I could endure the worst kind of wound and come out sharper, stronger. I slipped them into my ears one night, standing before the mirror. The diamonds winked back at me, For a moment, my reflection blurred, and I could almost see Grandma's smile. A tear slid down my cheek, not from grief, but from gratitude. Because she had trusted me. Because I had kept that trust. And because I finally understood, some treasures aren't meant to be shared. Some are meant to be guarded, quietly, fiercely, forever.